like to call the Tuesday, January 30th, 2018 Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. If everyone could please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, I could do this. So sporty.
Use yours. I have two.
You have two?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I have two.
Do you have one? Did you
I
get
don't think Paul has one.
No, I have one.
First on the agenda this evening, we have public comment period. So I just ask if you'd like to make a public comment that you join us at the new podium and just make sure the light is green. Eric? Welcome. Is it green? Press the little where it says push.
Go red. There we go. Eric Hutchins, 45 Pools Lane. I have two topics that I'd like to just briefly bring up this evening for discussion, both that have a lot of common theme for the town of Rockport. The first that I'd like to bring up is dealing with transfer station rules and regulations that are coming up that the DPW is actively working on right now. And it's an issue that I and many others, well, frankly not enough others, have actually looked into the details over the years. The good news that I'd like to get on the table, for those of you who don't know, last year I keep seeing letters to the editor and noise about the town of Rockport not getting grants. The town of Rockport does get grants. Maybe we want to get more, but one that the town of Rockport did receive last year, which I'm not sure if you're aware of or not, was a DEP grant to analyze data associated with the transfer station.
We are aware.
Yes, super.
I'm aware of that, yeah.
And what I would like to propose, and I think is really necessary, I know the DPW is working on it, but this is certainly, and many of you have seen a lot of the discussion online right now about transfer station. The information that's out there, well, it's not out there. What we need is to get an educated public on the topic, regardless of what your points of view are. Anyone look at that web page that Mr. Campbell started, which is fine, but a lot of it's just knee-jerk. We need the facts for people to have educated discussion, not just I like or I think. We need people to analyze, and I would like to ask the Board of Selectmen to help. And I've been to a few DPW meetings where they have openly stated, this is a big topic. We could use more help from the public and other boards and committees. They've even said at their meetings publicly, it would be helpful if the Board of Selectmen were part of this process. So I would like to call on the Board of Selectmen to help play a role and potentially give that slideshow to the public where there's, not always, but sometimes a camera in here where this gets recorded so that more of the public can be informed, so that we can have a public hearing this winter with information in more detail.
Yeah, just to answer that point exactly, I actually just this last week spoke with Bruce Reed. Are you chairman of the commissioners right now, Bruce? Chairman, about that exactly, and I think they're doing a presentation at their meeting tomorrow night, a small presentation, but then we discussed not kind of an emergency like budget time, but as soon as that's over, doing an educational evening where residents can come and the DPW explains how the transfer station works, the rules and regulations, people can ask questions. So not so much a public hearing where things are being decided and things are on the line, but just an evening that we can tape and people can actually ask questions and get the facts.
So
as opposed to the stuff that's online.
But prior to decision making?
Well, I don't.
That's my point.
But
Is
I don't think. I'll let Bruce speak to that, but it appears as though I'm not sure if that's going to be pertinent this round, but I'll let Bruce answer to that. Sure.
Okay. I don't know. Do you want me to go there?
Oh yeah. Do you mind? I think they get your best view on television if you go up to that.
Okay, just to answer a few things. Yeah. We can't wait that long to set the rules and regulations for next year because they go out. Basically, we have to put it out before the town meeting so that the information can be sent to people. However, if people want to go out to the Rockport's DPW website, not website, but Facebook site, there is a presentation out there now that you can look at that gives you a lot of information about pay-as-you-throw versus bulk. So that some of the information is out there. I think what you're going to find is that we are going to ask the selectmen's assistance next year in coming up, hopefully, with a permanent solution to the transfer station. And, you know, I don't think we have a dilemma up there. There's a lot of statistics up there that we'll be talking about at our meeting tomorrow night trying to figure this whole thing out. But the point is, the choices aren't pay-as-you-throw or bulk. We also have the ability to look at, and we will look at next year, curbside pickup. All right, that's on the table. We'll look at a private vendor taking over the dump. That's also on the table. We have issues with the transfer station. People leave things at the transfer station, and our guys spend 3 or 4 hours on a Monday moving trash from the transfer station to the dumpsters. We have to figure this all out, and it's a town issue, and it's a very expensive issue. And we've got some interesting statistics that will be coming out tomorrow night. I don't want to say them tonight because I'll miss the numbers, and but they're astounding. So we're working on it.
Did you have another topic?
Yes, I did. And the other topic, which I thank you, Bruce, and I'm certainly supportive of getting information out. I frankly don't think we need to wait another year, but let's get it out as fast as we can. The other topic is the email that I'd sent the board this morning along with the DPW, and I guess I'm kind of the spokesman for looking at some of the sewer district issues, something that I have been looking at for 15, I got notes back from 2000, actually before year 2000, that there's a group of people looking to do a citizens petition article involving.
Actually, I got it, but did you send it to the
I didn't
whole
get it.
board?
No, I sent it to Sarah and I sent it to Linda. So I sent it to the staff and Linda, the
Got
3
it. So
chairs
I'll forward it
and the
to the
3
board.
staff persons. So I sent it to Sarah and Linda. I sent it to Bruce and Joe Parisi, and I sent it to Kirk and Herm Lilia, just figuring that was without it having to be a complete shotgun.
Perfect.
But anyway, that's all. Sorry if
I'll-
anyone
Just
didn't get
haven't
it.
seen it, that's
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'll forward it to the board. I saw it come in and I skimmed it, but I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing.
Yeah, it was only less than a half page.
Yeah.
I figured
Yeah,
it would
yeah.
make it on. But anyway, all it was a heads up that there are a number of people right now working on some language to try to move forward better guidance, for lack of a better word, potentially through a zoning bylaw, but guidance on what we are doing now and into the future with sewer connections and sewer connections, which probably 9/10 of this town doesn't even know the difference in those two things. Don't have to get into it now, but that's part of that same education process. It is a town-wide, regardless of what your perspective is, broad-scale issue that even the DPW mentioned this one as well. It's a big issue that we all need to be involved with. And part of that request this morning that was sent out was looking for collaboration from the Board of Selectmen, the Planning Board, and the DPW to somehow or another work collaboratively on coming up with guidance. And we're going to try to put together some language for Springtown meeting through a petition article to help promote, at the very least, the education and discussion, because it needs more education and discussion. We're all hearing, we all know we have a limited capacity at the sewage treatment plant. Where is that capacity going to go? How do we as a town want to guide where it goes? Or no guidance, we just say yes to everything. I'm not sure that's the way the town of Rockport wants to go forward, and I think we need to educate people on that so we can do better guidance where we're going. It's not going to happen tomorrow or 2 years from now. It's a long-term guidance document or bylaw.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, just real quick. To both your points, Eric, I couldn't be in more agreement with you about the public education aspect, and that's that along with the public voice is my biggest concern. I want the public to have voice. Now, we have a great turnout here tonight. That's fantastic. It's not always the case, and I know that's not that way with the commissioners' meetings or most committees in town. When there's a hot button issue, you tend to get a lot of people there. When there's just kind of mundane business, it's kind of sparsely attended. However, that's my only reasoning, is to get people involved and to have them have a voice in the process.
Just a comment on that. With a little bit of lead time, I'm willing to bet right now, with all the heat that you've helped create, which is a good thing, we'd have 150 people with a little bit of lead time at a discussion on pay-as-you-throw.
I hope so.
But we don't have enough lead time. We're announcing it tonight for tomorrow. I just got to say that.
Well, I
It's a
just got
good
the agenda,
topic.
so I posted it as soon as I got it, so.
Bruce, did you want to answer that?
Again, Bruce Reed, DPW Chairman. Just on the last issue, Toby has raised it with us several times. And at our last meeting, we discussed it and chose to bring it to you as a joint item to talk about at our workshop. And it is the fact that the sewer system, it's tight. There's no other way to describe it. But again, there are a lot of issues to deal with that as well. And there's your board, there's our commission, you have certainly the planning board is a big part of that, and also the Conservation Commission. So those are the boards that all have a piece of it. I don't think we have a big piece of it, but it's a huge topic of discussion for the future of Rockport, and we need to talk about it. So
It is. Thank you.
that's why it's on our agenda
Yep,
next week.
perfect, thanks.
Great.
And we'll figure out steps moving forward on that. And Eric, thanks for your email on that today. Toby?
Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. Eric's spoken about a sewer overlay district, and that citizens group supersedes and carries on from my feeble beginnings. Won't speak of that. I see several things here I'm interested in. The establishment of a DPW building committee. The DPW commissioners have been urging and angling for this for years. It's a wonderful thing. It's going forward. You always speak of how important town committees are to the operation of the town, and you're absolutely right. But if the committee is to be functional in the long run, citizens need to buy into their efforts. And the way it works with most town committees, hardly anyone bothers to attend them, and then they come up with reports if they're planning committees, and perhaps they're headed in one way and the troops are headed in another. And to avoid that, it would be greatly to the advantage of the town and the committee as well if you had the committee in twice a year to one of your regular meetings here with the camera going, not a workshop meeting, so that the citizens would be appraised of what the committee is up to, and if they have doubts or questions, those could be aired, so that the questions that the citizens might have are answered, rather than the committee come up with a report that would not be acceptable to the public. And I think it would not be too much to ask you to invest half an hour, 15 minutes twice at regular meetings in the course of the year. I'm asking you to do that. Also on the agenda, I see permission to use Wharf for Rockport Music's annual fundraising gala. Remember what you said, Madam Chairman, when you were granting permission for the use of Millbrook Meadow, that the area that they were to use was theirs and the rest of it was to be open for the public. I have reservations, in fact, disapprove of privatizing public space for private use, even on a temporary basis. I don't feel it's justified. And if you're giving over public space for private use and people are charging admission, they're making money out of a public asset and should be asked to contribute to the town. Actually, contribute isn't quite the right idea. There ought to be a set of fees, a scale, so that people are compensated for the use of public space when the public is fenced out. You've not agreed in the past. I hope you'll reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Sharon Byrne Kashida, 34 Marmion Way. I am also the consultant that worked on the transfer station grant. I work for Mass DEP. I'm a regional solid waste and recycling coordinator. I work with 39 communities. I'm looking forward to all of you being there tomorrow night. And although it's short notice, I'm happy to hear, Don, you've put it out. I'm going to put it out. Get as many people informed as we possibly can. But also just to remind the town that I am a resource to you. I work with 38 other communities. I know what's going on, what's working, what's not working, what we could be doing better. So rely on me to do that. And that was what this grant was really about, to really do some investigation into our own operations and to look at other operations to see what's working, what we can learn from them. So I hope to see you all tomorrow night.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
Sharon.
Sharon.
Nice to see you. I love all this public comment tonight. This is like exciting to have so many people here.
Kathleen Cahill, 3 Mount Pleasant Street. Different take or different subject entirely. Regarding the winter parking ban and the last storm, not this brief storm we just had. Has anybody thought as to, or done a survey as to how many residents in the downtown area do not have parking, so that when there's a winter parking ban, what happened is, for me, when the parking ban was announced for the blizzard, I came up to town hall to park and there was nothing available. So there's always Wharf. However, anytime there's an issue or possible issue with coastal flooding, I try not to park on Wharf. Obviously, there was a good reason for that because it flooded majorly. So, in fact, one car, got very wet. So, do we have any idea in town as to how many people do not have regular parking?
We don't. I mean, that's something I'd be happy to talk to the police chief about to see if they have thoughts. And it might be helpful for you to put your thoughts into an email and send them to
Yeah.
us, because I know at the end of the season we're going to have the chief in and have traffic and parking kind of look at the whole.
Yeah.
Look at how it went this year, changes, observations, and honestly, the more comments, I know you're someone who's always really good at sending us comments, but it's really helpful. So I think
Yeah.
putting all that in an email would be
I mean,
helpful.
Wharf flooded, and anytime
Right.
I know Mitch sent an email the day of the blizzard about noontime, but that, quite
Yeah.
frankly, that was about an hour late. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 some odd years.
Right.
That I know when you look out and that it's washing over the sidewalk an hour before high tide.
Right, pretty safe to say that
Yeah,
you should move your car.
yeah, but
I mean,
If
luckily,
it-
luckily the Weather Channel was down there, so I think the people that
Yeah.
were late.
yeah, I was all over
So
it. I
got,
was
like-
national news.
Yeah.
But if there was a high tide,
Right. Yeah, so
overnight.
it may be that we have to find another spot in town. I don't-
Well,
I mean,
I
I'm
know-
looking at Rob Lebo. I don't know if it's the school, or something that if there is potential flooding, that we have another lot that we open up somewhere to have cars for the night. It's just worth. I think that's an end of the season conversation. to
right. A suggestion would be, but back when my son was little, I used to park at the library overnight. But about 5 or 6 years ago, that's been banned. And
Yeah.
I never did find out why, and Lana didn't know why either. I guess it's for plowing purposes.
Yeah.
But that was an easy place in the downtown area.
Yeah, it was for plowing, and it was so that they could get the library open, get the library open the next day, because what would happen is people would park there overnight, and then if they were able to actually open the library, the DPW has a very short time to get there and get that lot cleared out.
Well,
So it's just kind of a,
It's just a suggestion.
Yeah,
For
no.
if there's a
Yeah.
potential for flooding. There's not a lot of, I ended up parking in a neighbor's yard.
yeah.
But luckily I did have a neighbor who was
Okay.
willing to let me, but not everybody maybe does.
Great. So please put that into an email so that we have it.
All right. just a
Thanks
thought.
very much.
Thanks.
Great. Monica? Good evening.
Good evening, Monica Lawton, 11 Story Street. I just, for the record, just wanted to add a little bit to Eric's comments. Eric spoke very eloquently on the issue of bringing forward a petition article regarding a potential sewer overlay district for the town of Rockport. And he made reference to several people being part of a group to promote that effort. And some of that group is in the back row here tonight. And I just, for the record, wanted to acknowledge there are several of us here in full support of this effort to promote public education around this issue through a petition article. And we hope to work collaboratively with the selectmen and planning board, et cetera, in the weeks ahead.
Great, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Nice to see you. Anyone else for public comment? Sure, go ahead.
Just with what
Oh,
the green light, sorry. In response to what Kathy was talking about, I have been wanting to, I had this idea of last year, and I'd like to set up a registry online for people who need parking space, a place to park, and people who have extra place to park, to match those. And because I have 3 places, although it's on High Street, it's not right here, but I would gladly let people park there.
great, that's a nice idea. Okay, thanks.
Katie Gardner, Toomey Lane.
You don't have to lean all the way down.
I was
As
just
long
gonna
as you're
say, I just
near it, you're
realized
fine.
that.
Yeah, as long as you're near it and it's green, you're good.
I'm actually here about the snow plowing. I know it came up at a meeting recently, and I sent a letter. Thank you. I know a couple of you received it. So I'm wondering where you are with that. I think at that meeting you would discuss trying to kind of come to a conclusion about snow plowing for next year by February 1st. So I suspect that's maybe not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's.
But I'm just, is that still on the table? This is the snow plowing of private roads.
Right, for next, like, yes, I think coming up with the correct requirements and everything is definitely on the, definitely in our game plan for next season. We've just been pushed back a little bit.
Okay.
We've been a little bit tied up with some legal issues that have just kind of bogged us down, but we're hopefully getting back on track. We have a big workshop with the DPW next week. And then I anticipate after that, we're gonna kind of set up a framework for some other issues, and so that will be one of them.
Okay.
And I assure you that we have your email address, so we will let you know as soon as it
Okay.
happens.
Thank
So
you.
we're still on track, we're just a little bit behind.
Okay.
Thanks so much, nice to see you. Anyone else? No one else? Okay. Moving on. Oh, we have an interview of Kate Johns Shaw as a member of the Historical Commission and the Historic District Commission. Good evening.
Would you like a motion first?
Sure. Do you want to join? Can that microphone, if you want to move it, you're welcome to have a seat at the table. If you want, just move the microphone. Great. Would you like to make a motion?
Absolutely. Madam Chair, I nominate Kate John Shaw as a member of the Historic District Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Welcome. Nice to see you. If you wouldn't mind, we had the pleasure of getting an email from you, but if you want to just tell us a little bit for those here and the millions, I like to say, watching on TV, that might be live. I'm not sure if it's live. I don't know. We never seem to know.
You don't.
But if you would like to just tell us a little bit about your background and what basically took you to end up here this evening.
So my name is Kate Johns Shaw, and my husband and I live at 9 Athena Way in Rockport. We recently moved here full-time from upstate New York, Columbia County, New York. And we've had a house here for 14 years, but we're thrilled to be full-time residents now. So I am a licensed architect. I've had my own firm for over 30 years in upstate New York and in Chatham, New York. And I've specialized in historic preservation and new construction in historical periods. And I'm very excited to volunteer to be on the board of the Historic District Commission because Rockport is just a beautiful historic town, and so deserving of preservation, and I would be delighted to help and offer my services. The board is doing a wonderful job, and I think there's just so much here to protect and promote. So I
Thank
would
you
love
so
to be
much.
part of it.
Great.
Perfect.
Other questions or comments?
No, I just want to say, we're thrilled that you're permanent residents too, and what great background you bring to this role. So it's fantastic that you're interested in volunteering.
Very much so.
Wait for the, yeah, thank you for stepping up and doing that. The town runs on folks like you, so thank you for doing that. I too am very impressed by the resume that you put forward. I just ask you, what do you see as a vision for Rockport, or as a vision for the area in the context of historical? Is it to go back to the roots? Is it to keep things the way they are? Like, what do you see is happening?
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
And I think something that the commission needs to maybe, really focus on and decide. It's always a question in historic preservation, what period are you trying to adhere to? And I think the biggest thing is that the town is a living entity, and so we're trying to protect what gives it its historic character. So that goes all the way back to the early 1700s, and all the way through now, while letting it be a place for people to live in the modern day. And, so it's always, you're always weighing and balancing. But I think the effort is to try to keep the character as close to what it is now, what we all love about Rockport right now, and in any way we can, but while accommodating modern requirements. So
Great answer. Thank you.
Kate, how did you find out about the opening of this? Did someone approach you, or?
No, my husband and I came to a selectmen meeting a couple of months ago when we first moved here, just because we wanted to learn about the town and the government. And at that meeting, somebody said that a volunteer was needed
Really? Oh,
for the
that's great.
historic
That's great.
district commission.
Right.
Government and bylaws. Oh, good.
I'm glad you showed up.
That's great.
Do you still have your architect, do you still have your firm?
I'm semi-retired.
Okay.
So I don't have my firm in Columbia County anymore. I'm doing consulting work,
Oh, cool.
but that's why I have time
Perfect.
to volunteer.
That works for
So
us.
I'm still on the Historic District Commission in Hudson, New York, which is
Oh.
Columbia County where I was, and so I'm also doing that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Is that near Hastings on the Hudson?
What?
Is that near Hastings on the Hudson, or?
It's north.
North
It's
of
on
it.
the Hudson River,
Yeah,
but it's closer to Albany.
okay, then the other one, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Interesting. Anything else?
No, thank you
good.
very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for stepping forward.
Thank you.
So the way our process works is we nominate, you're nominated one meeting, and then we will vote on it at our next meeting, but you don't have to be here for that,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you.
Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Great. Next we have approval of minutes of January 16th, 2018. Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move the selectmen approve the minutes of January 16th, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any edits or changes?
I don't recall that I did, no.
No, I'm good. I've read them over.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Next, we have selectmen updates and liaison reports.
Actually, we're missing, aren't we gonna do the approval of minutes for this? We already did that, okay. Alrighty.
Well, I
Been a
I
long
have, but
day.
I was just deferring to anybody else to have them, so.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, I have a few here. First of all, myself, Linda, Mitch, attended the MMA conference, the Mass Municipal Association conference in Boston last week. I lose track of time. And it was great. It was just a great resource and a great networking event to have for towns, and one of the seminars, and I kind of didn't like the way the setup was, because you can only, out of a block of seminars that you can attend, you can only attend one of them. And there's sometimes you want to attend more than one, but the one I attended was on kind of sharing with other communities, and I think we have a great opportunity there to do that, sharing resources, whatever it happens to be, if it's equipment or personnel, or sharing personnel across resources. I think it's a great thing, so learned a lot from that. I also want to wish Selectman Murphy a very happy birthday publicly, so happy birthday, Selectman Murphy. There you go.
39 again.
Right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Well said.
And, right. Also, we were asked, actually Toby asked a long time ago about having Ann Margaret Ferranti and Bruce Tarr in. And I got a call from Peter Beecham, who had asked me about 8 months or a year ago to look at Nugent Stretch and cleaning up Nugent Stretch as far as cutting back brush and things like that. I called Bruce about that. So I called Bruce and Ann Margaret and also spoke with Barry Pett from Bruce's office. And there were a few things we discussed, that being one of them, them coming in to sit with us on whether it's a quarterly, biannually, once a year, whatever it is, just to kind of get Bruce and Ann Margaret involved in Rockport issues and let them know what our concerns are. And they were very, very happy to accommodate. It may not be on the same night that both of them can come, but it may be at another time, so there might be separate on that. The other one was about the ramp at Evans Field. I talked to Bruce about that also to make sure. And to see if the T would be willing to do something to add an ADA compliant ramp coming up from Evans Field. Also working with the crane, Bruce and I talked about that. So we're gonna see if we can work towards that to make something happen. And then, let's see, what else do we have? The other thing was the sidewalks coming up Nugent Stretch, which this is not me working by myself. This is just trying to get a conversation going to get something started on this. So we'll see where that goes. I'm sorry?
Wasn't the office contacting Bruce and Ann Margaret about having them come in? Mitch,
They
was
never
there?
had, so I had to talk to them anyway, so when I talked to them about that. Yep, and I talked to Mitch about it. so.
On the sidewalks, Tom Mikas was in last week, or at our last meeting, and talked about that effort.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah.
And we do
every-
have to be careful because I know that the people on Granite Street have been working on sidewalks on that end of town with Senator Tarr's office for a few years now. So I don't want it to appear to people that we're, all of a sudden kind of pushing them aside to put sidewalks at the other end of town.
I don't think anybody's pushing anybody
Yeah.
aside. I think we're just starting a conversation on it.
Yeah.
And that's all that we're looking to do. And wherever that leads, whether it's to make it happen or not make it happen, will be after, as we said earlier tonight, with lots of public input and lots of opinion on it. So that's what I look forward to. Also, tomorrow night is the DPW meeting, as we talked about earlier, 7 o'clock, and it's here. It's not at the police station. So I've posted the agenda online so everybody can see it. It's also on the town website, so that's a great thing. And the last thing is, the most exciting part to everything are the warrants that I have to read. So bear with me if you don't mind for a moment. Here we go. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 29 totaling $531,848.73 and expense warrant number 29 totaling $1,796,344.70 on January 17th, 2018. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 30 totaling $141,705.19 and expense warrant number 30 totaling $503,779.88 on January 24th, 2018. Selectman Campbell signed the payroll warrant number 31 totaling $537,405.89 and expense warrant number 31 totaling $591,626.63 on January 30th, 2018. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
No, you didn't mention, Don, that we both attended the last DPW
Right.
commissioners meeting, which was the kind of the, episode 24 in the ongoing saga of pay-as-you-throw versus bulk. So we'll continue that discussion tomorrow night.
Yeah, and out of that, if I may, that was, the committee charges tonight that we're gonna discuss that's on here is part and parcel of that. So Denise and I worked on that to get that going.
I don't
so-
think we're doing the charges tonight. I think
We
we're just,
talked- we
I think we're
discuss-
just establishing
It's on there.
establishing the committees.
Well, the charges
Right.
are on here and okay, I would be confused about that then, but okay. We can
Yeah,
talk
we're
about
just-
it when the
we're-
time comes up.
Yeah, because I had talked to Bruce about establishing the committees tonight, and then during our workshop, going over the charges together, the charges and makeup to make sure that we're on the same page as the DPW.
Okay,
Yeah, but making,
Okay.
but establishing them tonight so that we're ready to move
as
forward
long as we can
after
move
the
forward with
workshop
them,
and
that's
don't
fine,
have to-
that's fine.
Don't have to hold that up. Great. Okay, anything else? Great, okay, I just wanna see what, we have a lot on our action list tonight, so I just wanna, if people are here for small things, I don't wanna make them wait, so we can move the budget stuff to the end. I see you have a Y, sure, you here for the road race? Are you guys both here for the Y road race? Okay. We can push you guys forward. Is anyone else here for anything? I'm here for a road race as well. Oh, you can? Okay, great, perfect.
Lots of road races
Lot
today.
of road- Tony's here for Mont Rockport Music, okay. Anyone else for anything else besides just general excitement, thrilling budget talk? Okay, perfect. So why don't we just do those 3 items first and then go start at the beginning? Does that make sense? So, sure. So permission.
You want a motion?
To, should we do a motion for number 7 first? Or should we discuss? H7?
Oh,
Should we
H7.
discuss it?
Do whatever you here. Oh, number 7.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is about.
Yeah. Tony, do you want to join us up at the hot seat? I will tell you, I couldn't attend the Chamber Gala the other night, but you guys streamed it online, so I got to see the concert, which was
Well,
really cool.
Yeah, it's actually the Chamber's thing.
Is
so-
it the Chamber? Oh, it was the Chamber streaming, not you guys.
Correct,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay. Well, it was really cool
Thank you.
regardless.
I'll let them know. You could call them up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm Tony Beetle, representing Rockport Music. For the record, I live at 81 South Street. As you know, the last 3 galas of ours have been at Millbrook Meadow. And this year, due to the last snowstorm, the repair and renovation schedule got moved such that it was too tight for us to go and be sure that the meadow would be finished so that we could go back there this year. And so we began the search for another locale. And one locale that suited us in the same way that the meadow did was being, as far as being near the hall and being accessible by a short walk, was the T Wharf. And not knowing any of the particulars about how Rockport Exchange or bylaws about who has to be who can be made to avail themselves of any event there, we thought this was a great place. So I knew the next step was to come here. So actually, everything for the evening is the same as it has been. That the concert begins at around 6 o'clock in our hall, goes for about an hour. The audience then goes from our hall down to T Wharf, where we've erected a tent that holds about 250 to 275 people. There's probably another smaller tent, which is a staging area for a caterer. And we usually bring in a trailer of restrooms, not porta potties, but it's sort of one unit. And the setup time is usually, I believe, about a day before, half a day to a day before, and then half a day afterwards for takedown. And from my discussions, I obviously talked with Rockport Exchange folks just to get a little feel for it, and if there was anything that was going to be a barrier, which at least to their knowledge and everything, and all of this seemed doable. I'm not saying that it's what you want ultimately, but it's doable for us to have that event there. So, not knowing what the precedents have been, I fully expected to, as we did with Millbrook Meadow, as we paid a fee. In that case, it was a donation to Millbrook Meadow. And I don't know if there's a fee here, but certainly Rockport Music, I came to this meeting prepared to state that we would work out something with the town for that. We don't know, although we assume there'll be, needed police detail, fire detail on site for the whole matter. So what I can't say but would want to address is the aspect of that wharf on a Friday night. This is on June 2nd, and I'll give you a little packet here. On June 2nd, I'm not sure what happens or how much activity there is with people using the yacht club. We're not sure when the yacht club is open. Obviously, we want to work with everybody on that place. We don't know about the parking and the town parking that's there and how we work through that problem, but we're willing to do that. I do know that the parking for the event is the same. We would use what we've used in the past is now Rockport Music, the bank parking lot, the Peg Leg Inn, and the Ace hardware store lot, and we have a bus going around to take people to and from. So that's the basic scenario, and I've just asked the board to consider our request.
Tony, did you speak to Ellen's, the restaurant?
No, haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that would need to happen is, well, obviously the fishermen and the lobstermen, and Ellen's and the yacht club, because they would be impacted. Another question I had was, where will the tents go, in the middle of the Wharf?
Well, probably not in the middle. We thought perhaps down near the end, for the very sake that, like, the yacht club would be less impacted.
Okay.
In the restaurant, but again, I guess there could be an impact on the setup and takedown days, but the event itself is at night.
Right. Okay. And this is on a Friday evening?
It's Friday evening.
Okay.
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
So it sounds like there's still access by the public, they can still get down to Wharf, or would it be blocked?
No, I'm not sure it would be blocked. When the tent company that came, I mean, it's not taking the whole width of the wharf, as far as I could tell, nor the entire length either.
I mean, may I?
Yeah, please.
My concern is that the Harvest Fest is open to the public. It's a public event on public property, whereas you're asking us to inconvenience people who live there, the yacht club, and the fishermen whose livelihood depends on their ability to get in and out for a private event. And it's not to say that we don't appreciate Rockport music and all it does for the town, but I think it is different from Rockport Exchange, the request.
Well, okay. The only way I can't, because it's too early to tell, I can only tell you that as we research this a little more, if you are willing for us to continue, is to try to keep access open for that. Certainly on a setup day, there's not 275 people who are going there to have dinner. It's just a tent, people putting up a tent. So there may be precedent for that with the exchange itself, because there are a number of tents there, and I have to assume that business is going on that day. The same goes for the next day until 7 o'clock in the evening, which I'm sure some fishermen or boat users might be out in the dark. I'm not sure. I believe Ellen's does not serve dinner, so they would be closed. Nor do I know what the Sandy Bay Yacht Club is doing at that time. So.
Just to your point, I mean, we let them use public property, the Millbrook Meadow. So, I mean, this is Wharf, it's public property.
But there aren't people who are trying to get in and out and
conduct
their lives there.
but
It just seems like a different request.
It's a different, I mean, I'm obviously a huge supporter of Rockport music as well. My fear with something like this is that we're opening, is that it's setting a precedent that.
It's still a nonprofit.
Right, but it's not open to the it's not a public event. I mean, the Harvest Fest and Motif Number One Day.
But the reason they're asking this is because, am I correct in assuming because the Millbrook is under construction?
Yeah, did you think about White Wharf at all?
We looked at other locations, and none of them really are suitable for having people going there.
Yeah.
Is that the one over near Bearskin Neck? Is that White Wharf?
Yeah, when you go down to the left.
Yeah.
Yes, we looked at that. It's not large enough.
Yeah, I mean, because part of my issue is also, it isn't just, I mean, the last few Harvest, Motif Number One Day and Harvest Fest, we have clearly heard from disgruntled fishermen, which, we work to balance and communicate a lot. My fear is that if we open this up to one nonprofit, you know, that are there going to be more organizations that want to have events there? But my other issue is that a lot of people come to Rockport in the spring to enjoy downtown and to walk, you know, with their families on Wharf and the Neck, and that it basically creates like a private event down there. I mean, yes, maybe you can walk by it, but it's still a private event, and, you know, or just if you came to Rockport for the evening, I'm just having trouble getting over that part of it, I've got to be honest.
Well, I think it's one evening, it's a few hours for all the good that Rockport Music does for Rockport. It's
Yeah.
a different situation. It's unusual in that they usually do it at the Meadow, but they can't this year, so it's
Yeah,
not something
that's the
gonna
only
keep
reason that's
happening.
coming.
You know, it's, they need a downtown location to accommodate the event, so I can't think of another place that they could do it. I think it's just unusual because the Meadow's not available.
Yeah, the Meadow has been perfect for us, to tell you the truth. And this
And it's
is-
worked out well.
Yes, and I think we understood from the get-go the hardship factors that we would be asking the town, to your point, Sarah.
Yeah.
I will point out that in terms of serving the public directly, we probably this year will probably do about 6 free concerts by professionals, 15 school concerts, and don't forget first night, which we stay open from about 5 till midnight.
Not to discredit any of
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Honestly, it's just the fact that having, and it would, not just you, but anyone, just
Yeah,
having an
but
event.
it's not a grab.
On
Let's
a
put it
public,
that way.
right, on a public, you know, it's hard for me, you know, to justify, you know, when Bill Lee comes to me and
Well,
he's
if
like.
the fishermen
motif
still
number
had,
one
I
day.
mean, the Harvest Fest is down there, the fishermen, the lobstermen still have access to their boats. People can still walk by, the public can still walk by. That would be available to them, Tony, you think?
I would think,
Yeah, that's gonna be at night.
I think
Just
that
one, yeah,
it's at night, that the ability of a person to walk from one end of the wharf to the other unimpeded would be a priority. Now, which side of it, you know, a tent is gonna take some of the width of the wharf, but not all of it. And if we set it that way, that people could go down there, if they had to, I don't know, utilize restrooms, I guess, I don't know if they're open all the time there or not, at night, I don't know. I mean, I don't,
7:30, I think.
and certainly.
9 or 7, I thought it was
9.
7:30.
9 p.m.
So certainly there's a precedent for this, you know, or people, not a precedent, but people must have an idea of what happens there in the evening. I do not know that yet, so it's a learning process at the same time. I mean, who am I going to ask right now? So, yeah, well, ask you, and I mean, and also the exchange seems to have the most data, you know, most experience with these things, even though they don't have those kinds of issues because they are open to the general public.
And it's during the day. This is gonna be at night when
That's right.
assumingly it'll be less
Well,
people.
but
Right.
starting the
But it's gonna be
afternoon of the
closed
1st.
The whole time the tent is up.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So
What's
I assume
closed?
they put, when do they put the tent up? First
The
thing Friday
1st.
morning? Or Thursday?
Thursday
Well,
afternoon.
Thursday is ideal. They probably,
So it's
I asked that
almost
question
3
today.
days.
It's a possibility they could start very early Friday morning if that's preferable in the eyes of all of you. Costs us more, but.
Question, Madam Chairman.
Sure, directed at us, please.
Yes, mention was made of a police detail, and also mention was made of a contribution to the town, so it sounds like we may be getting things with one paw and dealing out with another. One of the things that the Community Development Department is slotting money for is police details paid for by the public for various events. Would we be paying for the police details?
No, he already made that very clear, that they would be paying for the police detail.
Thank you.
Yes. And I'm not totally sure what the paw thing meant, but let's just let it go. I don't.
And Rockport Harvest Fest and Motif Number One Day, they cover their own police
Of course I
detail.
do, yep.
Well,
or have in the
we
past.
started
Oh, no,
to pay for
That's
that.
right, we contribute to it.
But because they're public events.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I mean, from my standpoint, I don't have a problem with it as long as you didn't sound committed, and I hope we could change that to absolutely committed with no wiggle room to having public and commercial access guaranteed for the whole time.
Well, we are committed to that because it was brought up at the very beginning. Somebody mentioned it to us, and we've been down there with the tent people one time, and it was pointed out that you know how it is. You have a conversation. Fishermen go down here. We have to keep this free and everything. Honestly, I don't know what that meant by precedent because there's public there's public parking there, right? Resident parking. So what happens with that, I don't know. I mean, it could be as I get into this in the next week or two, it will be undoable to guarantee it. I mean, that could just be the way it is. But I think it is doable.
If it's undoable at that point, I couldn't support it. Because I would want to see,
You want
I
the
want
egress
it-
to be open, I understand.
Exactly. And
But-
what is the size, what's the size of the tent that you're
Well,
putting up?
the tent company said it's 40 by 100. Now, we haven't been down there to measure it.
And have you
obviously.
figured out roughly where you would be putting it?
Towards the
The-
end.
Towards the end.
At the road, at the turnaround?
Well, I can show you the picture with the proposed.
Because a
here.
40 by, that's fine, that'd be great if you could. A 40 by 100 tent, that's where, that's where the commercial fishermen are
I
gonna
won't
be.
say this is the scale, I believe it
Okay.
isn't, but that just shows you the location, not a scale to the side.
I believe that's bigger than the,
Oh, yeah, that's down the end.
Rockport, but
I
that's
don't
not
see
to
why that
scale.
wouldn't
Oh.
be fit on White Wharf, because they'd be out of the way there. You know?
I think the feeling of White Wharf was with, it's sort of, as I understand it, there's a little bit, there's a residential area that's nearby
Yeah,
there, and we didn't feel like that was, that was imposing on those people that
Well,
live there.
I actually had my wedding at the yacht club, and I put a tent up. I tented the whole dock at the yacht club, and the abutters are considered all of Atlantic Ave.
Okay.
So it's you deal with the same issues as White Wharf.
Let's get
Because
back,
of the way it
if
carries
I
down.
may.
Well, I thought in that case of White Wharf, you're walking through a neighborhood. I mean, we'll
Right.
revisit,
So
we
it's
could
kind of
revisit it.
it's 6 in one, half dozen in the other is all.
But when you get to T Wharf, you're turning off of,
Right, but in terms of like sound, in terms of a live music permit.
well,
and that
the
type of
sound,
thing.
the sound is usually, we've never had, at the Meadow, we've never had live music. And in this case, we thought we would have live music for 20 minutes at the very, very beginning and then stop the rest of the evening.
How would you be getting electricity there?
Well, we've been told by the exchange that there has been power available there. Don't ask me how. Otherwise, we would use a generator, and the generator is very silent, and it doesn't have to be necessarily on the wharf or near anybody.
There's power available.
Yeah.
And do we charge a fee for the town for power usage down there?
We don't charge a fee, because we don't usually rent it out, so I don't know.
Right, but if you rent dock space somewhere, there's an electrical charge. I mean, it's kind of part and parcel of the same
Yeah.
thing.
But I can't answer
Would
that
it
question.
would it be I would actually before voting on it, I'd like to actually get the dimensions of the tent and see where see
Can I
this
see the
but
drawing?
Or to
scale.
scale?
Like
Scale?
to see
Can I
where
see
the
one
tent
of
would
those?
actually go.
Okay.
I was trying to quickly
sorry.
look up the size of the Rockport Exchange
Thank you.
tents, but I can't. I'm having trouble finding it in my email.
Now, I'd like to get back to the fisherman situation and the lobstermen. They would certainly they couldn't park there while the tent was being set up, but they can certainly access their boats through walking down to
Right, but they can't park their trucks down.
Yeah,
there.
there'd be,
Right.
there'd be their truck situation, they'd have to park for.
What if you reserve some of the
Yeah.
spots before the tent to do that?
But the last time if the Rockport Exchange tent makes it very hard, like the size of that tent made it hard logistically
Right, but if you
to park cars and a tent.
but looking at Tony's diagram
But
here.
that's not to scale, so we have
I
no
understand,
idea.
but even if it comes down to here, it doesn't matter. Even if you reserve the first, say, 6 spots right at the beginning or what have you, somewhere on here, just to give something, I just want a
Yeah,
number.
maybe.
I don't-
Yeah, I don't-
Maybe
yeah,
something like that could be, so I just want to make sure they have access.
And Tony, while they're setting the tent up, people obviously would have access, the fishermen would have access to those parking spaces, correct?
That would be
That's what
fine.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we
So,
I
reserve
mean,
them for
the
them.
tent trucks are gonna be there, obviously, to unload and everything.
yeah, but then they could, so it wouldn't really have an impact on them,
Excuse me.
per se.
We should also get in touch with the yacht club and
Yeah,
ask
it looks
if they
like
have
it's
an
gonna
event.
affect the yacht club the most,
See if they have
right?
an event that weekend.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the board is willing to discuss it.
We need
just
more
need, I think, a
information.
little
Yeah, we need more information.
A little more detail.
So could you get the tent information and
Yeah.
do it to scale? They can even, you could even scan it and email it to us.
Is that, okay?
And then, we don't have a meeting for 2 more weeks, right?
Yeah. You're meeting on the 6th, and then
We have
again
a-
the following week for a regular meeting.
Right, so, yeah.
And I also think that someone needs to get in touch with Billy Lee from the Fishermen's Association and Ellen's, because that could affect Allen's. Allen's is right there. So those, if you could get all that information.
And the yacht club.
In the yacht club, yeah.
Okay.
You're right there too.
So,
We would have, frankly, we'd have done some of that legwork, but I didn't even know where we would go after tonight. But
Yeah.
if we can help with the legwork or go with you or whatever you
yeah,
need to do, we can do
we're
that.
still January, so there's time that we can talk and make sure that we cover all our bases.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks.
Tony.
Okay. Let's move on to the permission for the 2018 UCAN road races. Hi, welcome.
I believe that is me.
Great.
No, it isn't. It's Selectman Sheedy.
No glasses tonight, so I'm gonna wing it.
So no vote on
Want me to
that.
do it?
No, I think I can read it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I move that the Board of Selectmen approve 5 UCAN road races to be held as follows. 1 on April 8th, 2018, 3 on August 5th,
Fifth?
2018.
55.
And 2 on December 2nd, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Welcome. Could you just introduce yourself for the
You bet.
camera?
Rich Merrill, 43 Stockholm Ave. I'm
Great.
from UCAN Sports, and we organize the 3 races that you just mentioned. We've been doing them for a number of years now. The April race actually starts and finishes over in Gloucester at the O'Malley School and enters Rockport and turns around at Phillips Ave in Pigeon Cove. And the December race starts and finishes at Good Harbor Beach and turns around at the Headlands and then heads back to Good Harbor Beach. The August races start and finish at the high school. We work with the police and Cara to organize the races. They're both great help to us. We obviously pay for all the police details. There's a number of Gloucester police details as well, covering that section of each of the races. I think we started in 2011, so this would be our 6th year of these.
What about the December 2nd race?
That's the one that starts and finishes at Good Harbor Beach.
Okay.
And turns around by the Headlands.
Okay. Is that new?
No, that's
Yeah,
been
okay.
going for a number of years, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you remember that? Okay.
So Paul always says that I'm anti-road races, which I'm not. I even started
She
running.
isn't. I'm just giving her a hard
I even
time.
started running. But I just have two kind of, one is a pet peeve, one is like a neighborhood issue. My first pet peeve is occasionally, like a few days after the race, there are still signs up. And I'm sure it's like a case of a volunteer who like took off a little bit early.
Okay.
So if you could just do a full sweep, and they're the ones that are like marking the miles.
Sure, okay.
Just do like a full sweep of the course at the end of the day. I
You
think
bet.
we could take care of that. I've asked the police before to remind you, but I'm sure it just doesn't get. It's just a pet
Yeah,
peeve.
and that's completely my fault. I usually do a full sweep at the end, and if I've missed one, my apologies.
We are very hypersensitive, justifiably so,
Fine.
in this
Well, because
community.
we hear about it like literally constantly. And then my only second issue is I live over on Highview Road, which is right by Long Beach.
Okay.
And for the August 5th,
Yep.
which is a Sunday, right? It's usually a Sunday.
Yep, it's always a Sunday, yeah.
It's like between we have enough because of the Good Harbor Beach traffic and then the road race. We are literally like paralyzed, like trapped on that day, like legitimately trapped because you can't even get to Witham Street
Okay.
because of the Good Harbor Beach traffic. So I don't know if maybe if we sat down, maybe if like we worked closer with I'm not sure, but it's not like a wait 5 minutes for like the beginning runners. It's like you're literally trapped because of the beach traffic.
Then you
beach
combine,
traffic coming into town.
you know, tourist traffic.
Right,
You
in
can
Rockport. And I honestly have people calling me being like, I'm trapped. Like, I'm not sure what to do. And I'm kind of like, so am I. And it's not a big deal if you're just going to walk down to Long Beach, but if you actually have somewhere to go, like, that means you can't go through Rockport or Gloucester. And it's literally just like a clashing of everything at the same time. So I don't know if, I know we've talked about making the race start early. What time does that race start?
9 o'clock.
Because I think if we start earlier, we get in trouble with neighbors in that
And church,
neighborhood.
churches too, as well.
in churches. So maybe it's just better coordination with I'm not sure. Any ideas?
Okay.
But that's the only one. I feel like the rest of them, the police are kind of in a groove now, and they kind of keep traffic moving. You know, they like oftentimes you'll get to a spot and they'll be like, "Oh, just 5 minutes and you'll be able to go."
Yeah, we don't ever ask the police to close any of the roads. There aren't any road closures. And the race starts at 9 and ends at 12. So for any particular area, there shouldn't be runners on the road for more than 30 to 45 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Because they're moving through an area and then moving on. So
Right, but that route, Thatcher Road, don't they go up to Briar Neck and then turn around and come back on Thatcher
essentially
Road?
to the Long Beach Dairy Maid.
Yes.
And that's where they turn around and
So
come
that's the
back, yeah.
problem, is that there the race is both ways. Thatcher
Sure,
Road, the
okay.
race is both ways.
Oh, I see.
So I think
Yeah.
that's the problem, is that you're not just like waiting for one and then you can go through Rockport. It's,
They go by and they're coming back.
yes.
So could there be a police detail there and kind of guide runners to one side of the road or the other, just to let the cars out, if there are cars waiting?
Yeah, I think, I think it's totally fixable. I think if we just could, and I'm happy to get together with you and the police chief on it and work on it. And it's probably a rare situation, because I think it's probably a rare spot that the runners are going both ways and we have good Harbor Beach traffic.
Yeah, if we
80
can.
degrees and sunny.
It's 80 degrees and sunny, right.
Yeah, we love rainy race days because then it
Then
keeps
it's
the
like
traffic
so
down.
quiet.
And
I know, honestly.
if we can put a police detail there to help alleviate the situation, then by all means, more than
Yeah,
happy
maybe
to
we
do
can
that.
just,
Whatever.
or figure out where in that area would
Yeah.
be best. I don't.
Open to any suggestions at all.
Cool.
We're thrilled to do these and know it's a privilege. So
Yeah,
Uh,
but it's really cool, and it brings people to town. I know I have relatives that fly in to do them, so it's
I'm
really
just
cool.
thinking, sometimes the police details cause more issues.
I know.
You know, so
I
you
know.
gotta be careful.
Did you just say that out loud?
Patrolmen's Association here, that's for later.
No, it's true, but even talking to the police and, and working on it, I'm
Yeah.
happy to do that with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other pet peeves? I don't mean to hold this up.
Yeah, it was very well said, sir.
I was wondering about the road blockage, but you answered that, so.
And cleaning up the trash, obviously that's,
You bet.
and the signs are.
Yeah,
very
awesome.
Okay.
All good, thanks.
Thank you.
There's a
Thank
motion,
you.
right?
Yes, it was.
Is any further comment?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next, we have the annual Father's Day road race.
I move that the Board of I move that the board approve the YMCA's annual Father's Day road race to be held on June 17th, 2018 at 9 a.m., beginning and ending at the high school.
Great.
Good evening. My name is Tim Short. I'm the YMCA of the North Shore Road Race Series Director, and I'm joined tonight with Andrew Fortini. He's the Director of Operations for the Cape Ann YMCA.
Cool.
So yeah, we're looking to host the 17th annual Rockport Father's Day 5K, 10K on Father's Day.
Started.
I know.
17 years.
Such a terrific community
cool.
event. We're really fortunate to take on this race and kind of lead the charge with it. So 9 a.m. start from the high school. We start finish there, and it's the same course that we've used for the last several years. We work with the police department to maintain the traffic order out there and adhere to any recommendations that they have for us.
The only concern that I have is the music in the morning.
Yeah.
Again, it's 9, if it starts up at 7:30 in the morning, neighbors, particularly on Siegel Street and Jordan's Lane, sometimes get irritated. So if we can keep that kind of low until the runners come back an hour later or 2 hours.
Even 8:30, like right before
Yeah,
it
yeah,
starts.
yeah,
I think
just
we-
7 o'clock
yeah,
is a little
fine.
early.
Just 7,
Certainly.
yeah.
So some of it, what you might hear too, is the announcements from the
Warming
PA
up.
system,
Yep.
from me, announcing, getting runners ready, and giving some information to the runners.
So that wouldn't start before 8:30, right? For a
No,
9 a.m.
we
start?
wouldn't really. And
Perfect.
any music that would be played by the radio station or anything like that, we would keep to the minimum before that time as well.
What radio station is?
We're looking at different alternatives for this year.
Okay.
Looking at different sponsorships.
Yeah, so if you can just explain that to them, that it's
Yeah.
neighborhood Sunday morning, we've kind of nothing before 8:30, I think.
Certainly.
Yeah. I have no pet peeves with this one. I've actually run it a few times.
Awesome. Good. Good.
How'd you do?
Not well, but I finished. But it's okay. It's awesome. It's a beautiful route.
Yep.
It is.
Maybe you can tell more people, like like along the route, because I always feel like it's one of those routes where not many people cheer. You're going along like Marmion Way, and people are like gardening, and you're like, cheer for me, cheer for me. But it's great, and I know it raises a lot of money. These races raise a lot of money for you guys, right?
Yep. So through programs and initiatives through the YMCA this year, again, similar to 2017, where we fight childhood obesity through a different bunch of programs and good initiatives that we host. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you both so much. Any other comments,
Nope,
questions on
I'm
this?
good.
Okay.
Excellent.
There was a motion made, right?
Yes, there's-
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Great. Nice
Thank
to
you
see
very much,
both.
everyone.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. Is anyone here for anything else on the action list? No? Okay. Should we go back to the beginning?
Sure.
Okay, approval of the selectmen's operating budget. Is there a motion?
That's Selectman Donley.
No, that's you.
That's you, Murphy.
Where are we?
H2.
Rockport.
Oh, no,
H2.
H1, I'm sorry, H1.
H1. Okay, I was looking at H2.
H1.
Okay. Jeez.
He's all nervous because Mary Beth's here.
Now, those days are over.
Oh, you
Being
said
nervous,
that out.
Being nervous. I better shut up.
You're 2 for 2 tonight.
Yeah, I guess.
We're on a roll.
Oh, boy.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve its operating budget of January 25th, 2018.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Linda, for the
Yes,
comment?
I think I can make this pretty easy.
Great.
For some reason, we're ending up with more money than I thought. So I think that I must have skipped something in a total or something, but I'm very comfortable because tomorrow it's going to 8 or 9 people who will find it. So what I suggest, if there's even a mistake, so what I suggest is that you put the budget that you want as if you had the money, in case we do. For instance, the two extra reserve officers. According to my figures, there's room to pay for them, but there might not be once the finance committee goes through it. There's also a change on everything is as you saw it, except the personnel board approved a salary that takes a few more $1,000s on the assistant treasurer collector line. That's line 184. It's highlighted in yellow.
Oh, yeah.
So you might want to think about if you want to approve that or not in the budget.
Okay.
And the next change from when you've seen it is in community development.
What line is that, Linda?
Which one?
Community development.
It is 508.
Thank you.
The chair and member of the Green Community Task Force met with me and told me that their annual $200 is not going to cover some of the resident seminars and stuff they want to do. And anyway, I put $10,000 there for them. I didn't change yours because I wanted to put it before you to see if you want to do that or not.
You said green energy on line 508?
508. Yeah.
Green
so
Energy
the
Committee.
TA
On the paper version?
yeah, looking at the
Sorry, I'm using the digital version.
So the Green Energy Community 508 TA is 10,200. Ours is still at 200.
Right, because
So right, are
I don't-
people okay with changing that to 10,200 for now? Just to go to the FinCom. Are you guys okay with that?
Yes, I am. Yep.
I'm okay with that, just what comprises the 10,000? I mean, how do you come up with 10,000?
it's an estimate of what they will need for FY19 for teaching green energy, helping residents as well as public facilities.
Whatever money they don't use goes back
Oh,
anyways.
it doesn't even come out of the line. So they, a lot of these are estimates because we don't know what the oil prices are gonna be. We don't know a lot at this point. So as time goes on, that's why we need to make transfers later in the year. That's what, so,
And I see you put the OPEB at 58,000.
So on that
Well-
point, the OPEB,
yeah,
where did that $200,000 go? That you
what
had
200,
You had wanted us to allocate $250,000,
yes, but you
but we didn't want to do that.
didn't wanna do that, so
So where's the 200,000 that you were gonna put there? Where did that go?
it's in my line, isn't it?
What did you allocate it to?
In ours. She didn't allocate it anywhere.
So
No, you
where
didn't
is-
want it in your line.
Right.
No, I understand. And so where is that money? Where did the $200,000 end up?
Oh, in a leftover balance.
Okay.
Until it's.
That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But okay.
So you have $200,000 more left over in your bottom line than I do, for instance.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
And none of it's gonna look like this once the
No,
finance
understood.
committee gets at it.
Right. Got it.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
So you wanna stay with the 58,000 for OPEB?
Yeah, I think for now that's
For
fine.
now.
Okay.
Yep.
Then
Are
we
you
can discuss
okay
it
with the
FinCom.
53,000 for line 384? I can't see with these glasses either.
3 what? 84?
No, 184.
Tell me what that is.
That was the
Oh,
personnel boards.
Yes, that's fine.
We already approved that, right? Didn't we already approve that salary?
Yeah, we did.
If I may, that one was just approved last night. The board previously approved the assistant town clerk. This is an additional adjustment for the assistant treasurer collector based
okay.
on
Good. Okay.
some hiring differentials we needed to do in the office.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Yep.
Is that okay with you guys?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Yep, that's fine.
Okay, and then what else is yellowed out here? Oh, the personnel board last night also approved on line, they didn't approve on the line, they approved a slight increase to the deputy emergency management director's stipend, line 842, from 800 to 1,500.
This is the assistant?
Yeah,
Okay.
the deputy emergency, EMD.
Line 842?
Mm-hmm.
These are small numbers, so I might be saying the wrong one too, but I think it's 842.
No, it's
Page
8, it is
7,
842.
What?
I think you're right.
Did you find it?
On line 842, I have office supplies
Oh,
for inspection services.
no,
Are you looking for the emergency management director, assistant?
842 maybe.
No, it's 835.
842.
There are two 842s here, so
Ah. It's the
Oh,
second
really?
842. That
I only
would be
have
why.
one.
I only have
Do
one.
we have different, do we have different copies of this?
no. I mean,
Is
Debbie
are
just
the
made.
842s that you have right next to each other?
No,
They're on different pages?
no, they're on the same page. Yep,
Where's the other one?
it's above it.
So
Oh, yeah,
there's
she's right. Office
842
supplies.
here, and then there's
I see.
842 here.
Huh,
I have office
okay.
supplies is 828. Am I,
Yes,
Correct.
keep going up. You have another one.
There's a second one.
right there.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
There
so we
go.
have the same copy.
Okay, because
Got
there's
it.
office supplies down here on 828 as well.
Yep,
Different
yeah,
department.
different department.
Yep, no, that's fine.
So I think it's just the row numbers that are confused.
Somehow
not
they
the-
got-
Not the, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the numbers are, okay.
So,
Okay.
how do you stand on the 1,500?
Fine. I'm fine, that's fine. with me.
Yep, I'm
You guys
good.
okay? Fine.
Okay.
We didn't say anything.
Actually, I think that's it. I think the rest of it is the same.
Great. Okay.
I might have made some adjustments in a line here or there, but nothing that the finance committee won't change once they get it.
Do you have this at the end of yours?
Take that, sir.
Yeah, sure.
What?
This is at the end of my packet.
Yeah.
Do you have that? No?
No.
Okay. Any further comments or questions on this? I mean, obviously, we'll see it again. We're just handing it off to
Again and again and
FinCom.
again and
Bill's
again.
really excited.
What Herm was yelling about.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Okay.
This one's mine, Paul.
You got it.
Feisty tonight.
She is.
Because Mary Beth's here. Everyone's
Why don't,
feisty.
oh, you don't need it for
I
now.
don't need, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Nothing
move
has
that the
changed on
board-
the capital.
Nothing has changed? Okay, let's let Denise make the motion.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the capital budget as recommended by the Capital Improvement Planning Committee.
Second.
So nothing's changed?
Motion has been made and seconded. Nothing has changed.
It's how you saw it before.
Maybe somehow we can find some money for the two other school buses, Rob Lebo.
We have $200,000 for it.
I'm literally panicked that my poor niece is on a bus that is still gonna be broken after the budget. I don't even have the heart to tell her. So I'll go to the FinCom and cry about the bus situation. Okay, any questions on the capital?
Nope.
Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries, great. And then the budget message and finance plan. Is there a motion? Selectman Campbell?
That's me. And that's gonna be H3. Madam Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign its fiscal year 19 budget message and finance plan and direct them to the Finance Committee as required by Rockport Bylaw, Chapter 7, Sections 3 through 5.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Linda?
Madam Chair, I don't know why Debbie put "and sign" on here. It's a memo. There's nothing for you to sign. I just need to get the content that you want.
Okay, yeah. My only comment is, can we just take out that we're just deferring to the work group work?
Sure.
We are, in the next, like, couple weeks, I've promised everyone that we will get on the work groups, but I think it's strange for us to defer to something that isn't.
Okay,
concrete yet.
so,
I think we've given enough direction and information above. I think we could literally just delete that sentence.
okay,
So that
it's,
basically just like hands our responsibility over, and
it's the, isn't it the whole paragraph there?
it's on 2 pages in
Yep.
our.
Yeah, it's the financial plan, so.
Yeah, can we
so-
just take out that part and leave the budget message? I mean, I think that
Well,
they know
you have to do a finance plan too, so what would you like in there?
Well, what do you usually put in
Right.
there?
Yeah.
I put things like, the long-term, view, what the, what the climate is right now, but I thought that you guys were taking that over. So, see, I don't know what you're gonna do in the long term because of this other activity.
Well, so can we do we have to hand them that tomorrow?
Yeah.
I mean, can't we just say that the, well, then I guess we haven't decided that yet. So we should just say that we'll be that we'll be working on that in the coming weeks. I don't, I mean, then we don't have one, I guess,
Right,
today,
because
so.
we're not gonna, as Sarah said, we're not gonna defer to work groups that don't yet exist.
Or and a product that we haven't
Right.
seen yet.
Right.
I mean, that is obviously a hope, but
Okay.
it's just awkward to me to say, oh, we're,
Okay, so, what would you like to ask the,
Okay, I was gonna move it back.
I know, let's go
oh,
back.
that's in the budget message. Do you have access to, last year's finance?
I was just trying to look it up.
Keep it locally, or is it in the shared drive?
Oh, it's probably not in the shared drive.
I might have.
Or maybe, oh, it's not in the shared drive.
Could you do other, not vote on this yet?
Sure, while
do
you
some
look up
other
last
items,
year's?
and I'm gonna go up to my office and.
Awesome. Great. I was just doing a quick email search, but it looks like it won't be quick.
Madam Chairman?
A quick question?
A helpful suggestion, since you haven't got these groups up and going, perhaps you could explain what they're going to deal with, what their venue
We will,
is.
but not tonight. We're not gonna get into that
No,
tonight.
but in the message.
Well, we're not incorporating them into the message, so, yeah.
Right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, should we move on and do a couple other things? Is that
Yeah, why
okay
don't
with
we
you
do it?
guys? Great. But are you all right with me, with
Yeah.
taking that paragraph out?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Okay, let's do acceptance of the gift of art from Pamela Fox.
Yes, I think that's me. Madam Chair, I move that the board gratefully accept the gift of a watercolor entitled A New England Street by Pamela Fox to be added to the town art collection.
Second.
Great, do we have it here, Rich?
You had a picture of it.
We have a
on-
picture. There's a picture in the
Yeah.
Oh, I can't get
Here,
to
I'll
it.
get it.
So beautiful, I'll show it to you.
Oh, cool.
that
Pamela
God's-
Fox
So
was a
beautiful.
friend of my dad's, was one of his favorite artists, and we have some of her art. It's really cool.
I don't know anything about her.
Really cool.
Gorgeous watercolor.
What street is that?
Gott Street, I think?
God Street, yeah. Yes, it is God Street.
Yeah.
It's literally like 10 seconds from your house.
I didn't, geez, I'm getting beat up today. Glad you came.
That's just funny.
Even Toby's laughing.
I don't know, something.
You're the last person I would expect to encourage him.
That's funny. Anyway, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Accepting the art from Pamela Fox. Aye. Opposed, nay. Great, and I'm sure we'll send her a nice
Absolutely.
thank you. Great. Delegation of Civil Service Authority for ministerial functions.
I move that the board authorize the Director of Human Resources to carry out the ministerial, I can say that, functions associated with the civil service pursuant to actions taken by this board.
Is there
Second.
a motion has been made? Seconded. This is something Mitch contacted me about. Mitch, do you want to just speak about it briefly?
Certainly. As the board knows, a significant amount of paperwork is generated from civil service requests that come through. It would be extremely helpful for us on the efficiency end to be able to sign for the board's actions as we do with most other things. In no way affects your appointing authority, discipline authority, terminating authority. Simply, you carry it out and we follow through on the paperwork. If there needs to be an extension, we would sign for that for you. All of the paperwork that goes along with it would allow us the signatory authority for that.
That's fine.
That's fine with me.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let's move on to the approval of contract with the Beta Group Incorporated for the 2018 roadway maintenance project. in the amount of $38,300.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign an engineering services agreement with Data Group Inc., 315 Norwood Park South, second floor, Norwood, Massachusetts, for the 2018 annual roadway maintenance program IFB project number 2018-002 in the amount of $38,300.
Great, motion has been made, is there a second?
Second.
Comments on this?
My question was, how does the DPW select roads? Is there like a list of the roads that you know have to get repaved, and
We do.
you make your way through them?
Not too many years ago, we hired a company to come in and establish what roads would be our priorities. And the process was pretty interesting, and not to bore everyone, but I think as a layperson, you just assume you come in and you fix the worst road. Well, that's not how it works. What they try to do is fix the roads that are most expensive roads to replace. Hence the whole road system we did this year because of the traffic going on it. Next year, we're approaching roads that are probably in more need of repair than the current ones. However, for cost-saving purposes, this is the way to go.
Interesting.
And, so it's an interesting process.
Parker Street is your next one, isn't it?
It's one of them.
It's on
One of
this,
those
it's
three.
on this list, right? Parker, Smith.
Which is really part of, before we did this system, was on our list because it's part of the streets as we look at them as the feeder streets to the school. But, so what they're getting done now, and it's sidewalks, roads, that whole intersection down at Parker and High, and all of that.
Any idea when you're gonna get to Stockholm? I don't live there, I'm just, I
Well,
just
you know what,
drive
that's,
by it.
just again an aside, it's an interesting question because I've asked the same question because I come down that road, and that's probably one of the worst roads in the town. The issue is that we also have a big water sewer project that needs to be done on that road. And, so the problem becomes if we do the road, then we dig it up, so.
Gotcha.
That's, now the next question, do I know when they're gonna do that project?
I wasn't even gonna go there.
We're trying to get Curtis Street done to bring it all together,
Thank you.
So,
Yep.
Got it.
I also noticed that Pigeon Hill Street's in tough shape now, too.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Okay,
It's all the
thanks,
water.
Bruce. So helpful that you're here tonight, Bruce.
What's that?
So
I
helpful
know.
that you're here. Any further comments about this one?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. 90 Long Beach lease to reflect a change of address.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve and sign a lease for 90 Long Beach with Darrell E. Fahey to reflect a change of address.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further comment? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Let's just quickly roll down the rest of these, if that's okay. Approval of Bradley Wharf leases.
Madam Chair, I move that the board approve and sign Bradley Wharf land leases with Robert Contrino and Kenneth Porter to expire on June 30, 2019.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded.
Excuse me.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approval of Granite Pier leases.
I move that the board approve and sign Granite Pier leases with Michael Paulison, Michael Tupper, and the Granite Pier Fishermen's Association, all to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Motion
Second.
has been made and seconded.
I just have one quick
Sure.
question. So we signed and approved a bunch of leases, like maybe a month ago, and I'm just curious about, do we stagger the leases, or why are some coming now, and do you happen to know, Mitch?
I believe the answer is they all go out at the same time. Some of it depends on how quickly we get them back.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Can we have the folder to sign? Thanks. Okay, good.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approval of Pigeon, was that Pigeon Cove? No.
No, that
Approval
was
of
Granite.
Pigeon Cove leases? Thank you.
I move that the board approve and sign Pigeon Cove land leases with Michael Paulison to expire on June 30th, 2019.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Excuse me, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Establishment of the DPW Building Committee.
I move that the Board of Selectmen establish a 5-member DPW building committee.
Second.
Okay, and motion has been made and seconded. This is the state mandated committee that goes along with building a facility, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
This, I'm sorry,
No,
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 this,
go ahead, I'm upset.
this is, as a result of the last DPW Commissioners meeting that we discussed this, and we just wanna start getting these things done and getting, you know, everything in order. I guess my question would be, so when, as a matter of process, we're going to approve the creation of these committees tonight, correct?
Mhm.
And then when do we approve the charge, or when do we discuss the charge on these? Because I have no questions on it, I've already discussed it with Bruce. I'm just curious, you know, why, is there anything preventing us from going forward with this now?
Well, I talked to Bruce that we thought it would be helpful to just in a workshop, go over the charge and the makeup of both. Makeup meaning who we feel the members should be, right? Of
Makes
both of
sense.
these with the commissioners at their
Okay.
workshop, so that we all agree on that.
Okay.
And then hopefully at our next meeting, approve the charge and the people. So we can do that together, like who's on
Well,
them.
I just don't want this to die on the vine. We have it on here, I just wanna make sure.
No, it's getting created, it's
No,
getting
no, I
created
understand
tonight,
it, but I'm
yeah.
talking about to vote on it. So we'll have this, then we'll have the workshop, where we'll discuss it at the
Mhm.
workshop, and then the subsequent meeting.
Where we can appoint people.
Where we can do that. So
Yes.
even if we don't appoint, because, I mean, we're looking for 10 people, some can be used as cross-purpose, correct?
They
Okay,
could.
right, so if we do it that way, then maybe it might be a little bit easier to appoint, because we won't need a total of 10, we would need a total of, you know, whatever, maybe 7 or 5, who knows?
Well, but they'd have to be appointed to each one.
Right.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
right?
Good.
Okay, Bruce, question?
Would it be the usual process of nominating them at one meeting and appointing at the next, or is this going to be different?
I don't know why it
Yeah,
would be different.
it
It would be
yeah,
the same
be the
process.
same process,
It'd be
yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a town committee like anything else, so there would be no difference.
Yeah. Okay, Bruce, did you wanna add something?
Well, you know, the other two members of the commission haven't seen the charge, I have no problem with the charge. You know, either charge or either committee, one is certainly a statute committee.
Right.
The other one is truly your committee, you know, the way I look at it, with us benefiting from it. The other two members of the commission haven't seen it, I don't imagine they'll have an issue with it, so.
Yeah.
You chose to make a vote on the charge,
I'd rather wait and do it in the full workshop if that's okay.
because we did ask for it to be on the agenda, so that we
Right.
could have a discussion.
Right, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So that,
right, and because we had this scheduled, I didn't think it would it won't hold it up at all, right? Okay, perfect, okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries, and then the establishment of this is a town building study committee.
Correct. Madam Chair, I move that the board establish a 5-member building study committee.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, so this has to be, so, I know that we used to have this, but it's been dissolved.
Correct, and
Okay.
Madam Chair, and the charge, the draft charge has been updated to better reflect the needs of the town now.
Perfect, great, okay, so you also have this one on your, perfect. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries, great. All right, is that it for our stuff except for finance plan?
I just wrote a financial plan
Okay.
that I hope I can read.
Okay,
great. I don't have the exact number, but I will put it in here. It's approximately 902,000 to $1 million increases in revenues expected for FY19. So I have drafted the anticipated increases in revenues for FY19 will be approximately 1 million, that we would like to direct to be allocated to labor accounts that have fallen below market, also expense lines for infrastructure to be funded as funds are available. We plan the health insurance will increase between we anticipate the health insurance will be increased between 6 and 11%. We have estimated 10% in our budget, and please take it away if we don't need it and use it, so to make that easier. And we need to pay attention to building up OPEB funds so that we can place them in a higher yielding investments, and we still need to constrain debt.
Great. That sounds totally
Sounds good.
reasonable to
Yeah.
me. Thank you. Does that
Okay.
sound good to you guys?
All done by next meeting.
Great.
Well, no, it's gotta,
No,
I'm going to put it in real language for
Great.
what you just agreed to.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Is that it for our everything but discussion? I believe
Yes.
so.
I think so.
Great. Well, sadly, apparently the crowd wasn't for you guys. But welcome. Would you like to join us at the table? So, I'm sorry, just on budget stuff. So when this stuff will get sent to the finance committee tomorrow?
Tomorrow, and you'll be copied on everything I send them.
Great. Perfect. Thanks.
There's very little. I don't have to touch the capital at all, and I just have to take the yellow highlights out of the ones you agreed to, and
Great.
that'll be done.
Perfect.
I'll
Thank you
write
very
this.
much. Great. Good evening. Oh, he's bringing you a microphone. I know that none of you need an introduction, but would you mind introducing yourselves for all of those cable watching people?
This is a rump group of the Rockport Board of Health. Very bad. Perfect.
Russ Sanfield.
And I think the Board of Selectmen have all received a letter from the Board of Health
Yes, we did.
having to do with our increasing concerns about our ability to provide public health in the town of Rockport. And time was that when you call 911, if it was someone falling, breaking a leg, or someone having a heart attack, the first responder is the police officer. And that police officer would have oxygen, be able to do some CPR, and provide immediate, early response to the person. Time has changed. And what has changed is increasing number of calls are coming because someone has misjudged the amount of heroin or fentanyl has shot up and are having a respiratory arrest as a result of a drug overdose. When that happens, 911 is called. The first responder is a Rockport police officer. And that Rockport police officer goes with oxygen and the ability to do some CPR. In other towns, at least for the last year, in Gloucester, in Manchester, in Essex, those first responders, the police officers, have all been trained in and carry Narcan. And Narcan, you've all heard about that, but what that is, in essence, is an incredibly benign medicine, like oxygen, which if you give intranasally to someone who has had an overdose with a narcotic and has had a respiratory arrest, that medication may reverse the overdose and allow that person to start breathing. However, in Rockport, our officers do not carry Narcan, nor are they authorized to do. And when you start pulling aside the reasons for it and get down to the bottom line, it comes because of a negotiating position between the town of Rockport, which is basically you folks, that's what you signed up for, and the police officers union. None of us are privy to those negotiations. But what we are privy to is this has been going on for an altogether too long time. And this issue is too important to be left to the dawdling of lawyers. While this goes on, one of our citizens is going to die. And what we are doing right now is we are not only sending a first responder who is expected to be able to respond first when they get there, but we are sending in place a police officer into the terrible situation of not being able to do what some of them know they can do and be a bystander while someone's dying. Guys, it's time to get off of this. From the Board of Health's point of view, we don't know whether it's a problem with the town's position on the negotiation or the police union's whatever, recalcitrance or intransience. But if it's the town's problem, the Board of Health's position is that I think the Board of Selectmen ought advise our negotiators, who have a negotiation for you, to capitulate. Come up with the amount of money that needs to be done to pay the officers what they need, so next time when they go out, they'll have Narcan and maybe can save one of our kids. Now, if it's not your position, but the police officers, time has come to start letting the citizens of Rockport know, if it's the police who are doing this, damn well, let's get it out there so folks know. But let's get the problem solved.
Thank you.
That's the Board of Health's position.
Thank you. Mitch, did you want to comment on this?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair. The town has, without getting too deep into the negotiation process.
Which we're not allowed to do by law,
Correct.
unfortunately, especially in this case.
The town has certainly put forth an offer that it felt to be very appropriate in this matter. We have taken additional affirmative steps very recently, as well as in the long term, but particularly within the last several days, to attempt to force the matter free from the process that it is in. We expect that that will bear fruit shortly, regardless of where it stands in the normal negotiating process. We've taken some additional steps to extract it from that, to the extent that we're allowed, and proceed forward. So that is going now. There's a timeline associated with some responses for that, and the clock is running. As far as ability to carry, we did receive very recently clearance and approval from the police department's medical control, for lack of a better term, on the matter. So we have, that has been approved. There are doses at the department, and the police chief and the police lieutenant will begin carrying it as soon as they're trained. Not that that's any type of fix-all for it, but leading by example, they will be carrying that shortly. So,
In other words, non-union.
Correct.
Okay.
So we are moving forward. We've taken additional, as the board is aware, additional affirmative steps to the extent it's within our control, to move forward.
And that's very telling, obviously, that our non-union lieutenant and chief will begin carrying it immediately.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well,
Comments from the board?
yeah, I mean, time is of the essence here. And it is, as Sid correctly pointed out in his letter, it could be one of our kids, it could be our next door neighbor, it could be anyone. Regardless, this is a public safety issue and a public health issue, major public health. When do we think, collectively, we can have our officers up and running with Narcan?
I can't give you an exact date. That would be breaching where we are in the process.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that we expect some movement to be imminent. The
Okay.
clock is running on a
Good.
step that's been taken very recently. So we expect some very significant movement soon.
Did you have a comment?
Yeah. I have a couple questions. What's the window for Narcan to be able to be administered effectively? Is there a time frame where that has to happen, or how does that work? And I have one more after that.
Without being cavalier, 5 minutes ago is better than now. Of course. And now is better than 10 minutes from now. The sooner it is given, the sooner a person is more likely to start breathing. And whilst they are not breathing, that's when bad things are happening to your brain. Now, the other problem is with a lot of the stuff that's on the street, one Narcan administration may not do his job. Sometimes you need more, including 7 or 8. But basically, you keep using it and keep doing it until you get other folks there with CPR who can intubate somebody and get them resuscitated all the way to the emergency room, and even that won't do it. But the time frame is, if you call 911, the police officer gets there fairly promptly. Now, there's a time frame that's gone by there, 5-6 minutes. Police officer gets there. By the time the ambulance gets their group together, gets the ambulance and gets there, there is an additional time that's passed. Even in Rockport, and they do a hell of a good job. You may be talking 7 to 10 minutes. So now you're talking about 15 minutes with somebody whose brain's gonna turn into mush.
Right. You mentioned there's two things, heroin and fentanyl, two separate drugs, correct?
Yes, no, and sideways. Basically, the stuff that's used on the street is a polypharmacy of any number of things. But the stuff that is really overdosing people is fentanyl, because the potency is so much stronger, and carfentanil, which is a veterinary medicine, which is incredibly fentanyl. It's being mixed together.
So is Narcan effective on, I know heroin because that's what you hear all the time, but is it as effective with fentanyl as well?
Again, it's a dose response curve. If somebody's got fentanyl on board, you may have to give them 2 or 3 doses of Narcan.
What is one, I don't know one inhaler, whatever, I don't know what you call it. What is one capable, how many doses can that be? Are they multiple doses in one?
It
So it's
comes, I
one
think,
pen
either
or
a
one-
single or there's 2 doses in a packet.
2 in a packet, and we carry.
Containers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
2 separate containers. Each container is 1 dose.
Is 1 dose, okay. I'm coming back to what you had said, Sid, about, it could be 7 or 8. So what happens in that case? Because if you have 2 officers, you have potentially 4 doses, right? If they carry 2, is the way I'm hearing it.
What happens? You did the best you could. But not having it is not doing any good whatsoever.
I agree.
And that's where we're starting from right now.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I just want to say this hits very close to home for me. My cousin passed away from an overdose just this summer. And so I fully understand the power of Narcan, and unfortunately it didn't work out in this situation. But I will also say, and I think I speak for the rest of the board, but correct me if I'm wrong, that I find it like absolutely disgusting and embarrassing that we are at this point in a negotiation, like over this. To me isn't even, I was appalled that this even became a part of a union negotiation, to be perfectly honest. And the fact that that's the point we're at, I feel like this board, we are doing everything we can to get it in the hands of the officers as quickly as possible, without obviously putting the town in a position that will hurt the town. I guess that's a good way to say it. But I find it absolutely disgusting. To me, this is the same as carrying oxygen. I mean, it really is to me in this day and age, and it is just an absolute disaster waiting to happen.
I worry about our liability if, God forbid, someone in the south end of Rockport or in Pigeon Cove, wherever in Rockport, and the police officer gets there within 6 minutes, and the ambulance comes in within about 8 minutes, and it's 15 minutes, as
Yep.
Sid said.
Yep.
Is it effective on other drugs as well, even, prescription drugs, if there's an accidental overdose? Or is it just geared towards?
It basically hits the same receptors in your brain that narcotics hit. Morphine, oxycodone, Percocet. It won't affect Valium if you've had too much Valium. If you've got too much alcohol on board, won't do that. If you've got nothing on board, it gives you no response whatsoever. It's like taking a drink of water.
That's interesting.
So it's incredibly benign from that point of view.
And it's very simple to use. You just pop a cap off and stick it in their nose and squeeze it.
Sure,
It's crazy.
that's right.
It's crazy. It's like,
And another thing
it's
that
so
the board has
crazy.
talked a little bit about is sort of like letting the public know that you won't be getting it if you make that 911 call very soon, and what can you do? And the Sadie has taught me that any one of us can fill a prescription for Narcan. If we have health insurance, you can get your own dose in your house, so anybody can do it, anybody can get it. If you have health insurance, it's covered.
yeah,
And so,
It's
you know,
interesting.
yeah, it's interesting.
It's
so
very,
this
I didn't
is-
know that.
This is like,
Yeah.
maybe this is
Get
something that
trained
the
on it.
public needs to know.
Yeah, I mean, I would also, I know that you guys know a little bit about this, obviously, but because we're in a union negotiation, we are very, very limited by what we can say. But you're the Board of Health. I found, and did your letter go to the paper? I mean, honestly, I think for you to spread the word that, that we are the only community on Cape Ann, and I'm not sure how much further with officers that aren't carrying it. I'm actually more than comfortable with you doing that.
And
it's
that-
been a priority for us.
And that it's been a priority for the Board of Selectmen. I can't call the newspaper and say that, but there's nothing saying that you can't.
As I said in my introduction, in the statement there, this basically was to give you guys a heads up.
Great.
Because I don't know whose side of the negotiation is the holdup. You guys have had your heads up. Now, the next step is, like Mary Beth says, is, yes, I can call up Mary Marcos, so we can call up Mary Marcos and say, by the way, of the Cape Ann towns, you guys are shit out of luck if you have an overdose and you call 911 because of, and here's the reason for. But in the meantime, while the lawyers are doing their stuff, maybe each family ought to have a dose or two of Narcan, and here's how you can get it. That's a public service, but it puts pressure on the other side of the negotiations as well.
Yeah. I'm honestly, I'm
Yeah.
fine with you doing that. And I will tell you that it has been our biggest priority with the negotiations this year. And, it's
Earlier.
appalling.
Not just this year.
Right, well, yeah.
Then why is it taking so long?
We can't
Good
talk
question.
about it.
Good question, exactly, yeah.
You folks can't talk about it, and I appreciate the legality of that, and but the Board of Health can keep coming to your meetings and ask you, why is it not here anymore?
Yep, and you can go to the newspaper.
And in so doing, keep the article alive, because, to say we've been talking about 3 years, that doesn't carry it anymore. Sometimes it's time to throw out the whole package and do something different.
Is there anything else we can add to it?
Nothing at this point. We expect that this latest step will bear some fruit very soon.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for indulging
Yeah.
us.
Thank you guys
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Okay.
DPW meeting tomorrow night, right?
DPW, here,
And
right
then
here.
We have a workshop here. We have a workshop meeting next Tuesday. And then, yes.
After the Patriots win the Super Bowl.
Yes, I actually have one
That's right.
scheduling. I have to fly to Florida for work on Monday, and I'm flying back on Tuesday.
When is our meeting?
Tuesday.
February
So there, obviously with travel this time of year, there's a chance I could be delayed. So I just said I would keep in touch with Mitch. I'm supposed to get in at 4:00, so hopefully I'll be okay and we'll be on time.
Oh, look
But
at all of our candy.
just know that that's a factor. Great.
Spare set of glasses.
Okay, any other business or announcements? We good?
State of
Okay.
the Union, we can make it.
Oh, right. What time is it on at 9?
9 o'clock.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.